Good to see you all. This is the place where we do what we call our community moment, where someone from the Oasis community gets up and shares. It can sometimes it's about their journey. Sometimes it's like Vic had some incredible observations for us last week, and so it's just kind of a open journal time. And this week we're going to welcome our first president of the board of Houston Oasis, Gary Williams, is going to come up and give us a community moment today.
Thank you, Mike. I just wanted to kind of give you, at this point, a little bit of an insight into kind of how we got where we are and what's going on here. To begin with, just to give you a little bit of my background, I kind of come from a mixed background. My mother got religion, sort of, when I was a teenager. I spent some time in a church, completely resisting it, not understanding what it was about. Gave it up. I mean, to give myself, to age myself a little bit, a lot of my philosophical and religious beliefs came from Star Trek, the original series. I actually modeled myself after Spock, and so I had a tendency to reject anything that couldn't be handled by logic, which has its own problems when you're dealing with a teenager, because quite frankly, dealing with teenage girls and teenage boys, logic doesn't have a lot to do with it. So went to college and met my wife, and found out that love and life are not logical, and that emotions and people are not logical, and you can't deal with them completely on a logical basis. And my wife and I clicked, and we've been married 30 some odd years. But we did have some disagreements about religion and what to do about religion. We spent a fair amount of time having arguments and getting to the point where we just put it down because we couldn't come to a conclusion. About the time our children were born, Judy started going back to church, and being that I wanted to be with my family, I went with her. And I met some people there, and I said, okay, I'll give this thing a try. I'll give this church thing a try. I went in with the idea, though, that I was rational and that that I would not, without firm proof, I was not going to believe in any sort of metaphysical coincidence or anything like that. I was going to take it the way it was, and that, as far as I could tell, Christians didn't have any specific protections against the universe, or they weren't going to whatever, and that nothing in my 20 years sojourn in the church changed my mind about that. But I also found that there were a lot of good things in a church environment. People did care about each other, that people did get together, that there were a lot of community things. And so, and we moved from church to church to church, because every time we got into a church where people started talking about hate or about sin or about damnation, we went, no, that's not us. Finally we found Mike's church, and a lot of people of you talked about Mike's Living Word Lutheran. And so we followed him there. And then when Mike left that, he founded a little church called Theophilus. And after a year of that, we found that. I then got conned into being president of that church for it. And then my pastor came out on national TV, and this caused a certain amount of consternation. And Mike still owes me a little bit for that one. But when I looked at it, and I looked at what happened, that's when I became aware of something called the Clergy Project. Now, most of you here may be familiar with it, but the Clergy Project is for a group of people who are pastors who have lost their faith. Now think about this. If you're a pastor and you've lost your faith, you are in a world of hurt. If you lose your faith in your spouse, or your spouse cheats on you, you've lost your family, but you still have your job. If you get fired from your job, generally your family's there to support you. But if you lose your faith as a pastor, you often lose both. You lose all of the friends you had, you lose all of the community you had, you lose everything. And that just seems wrong to me. That particular thing just looked at me, and I said, these people need help. We need somewhere those people can go. Also, pastors, as a class, are good people. I mean, they may have some ideas that I don't necessarily agree with, but they're out there trying to help people. They're trying, most of the time, the theology is not what it's about. I mean, how often do people actually go into church and discuss theology? They discuss what other people are wearing, who's gotten married, who's having babies, all that sort of stuff. Nobody's sitting about asking about the Trinity or whether transubstantiation is real. So it seemed to me that there's a resource there that's not that needed that could be used, and that we were throwing away for no good reason, quite frankly. My logic kicked in, and I said, okay, there's got to be a way to fix this. So at that time, I circled back with Mike, and we started talking about it, and what Mike wanted to do next, what we wanted to do next. And we came up with this idea of, well, okay, how about we have a church without the theology? How about we build something? Will it work? I don't know. This is an experiment. I mean, this is still an experiment in my mind. It seems to be working. I mean, I'm very impressed by the number of people and type of people we've got here. But what we're trying to do is pull, in my mind, is pull out that value that church has, the things of value that a church provides, because something isn't with us for 2,000 years. Evolutionarily speaking, something does not survive for 2,000 years unless there's a certain amount of value to it. But it's also clear that parts of it have to go away. Parts of it are no longer relevant. And so I thought, okay, we'll do it without the metaphysical. We'll do everything else. We'll see how it goes. We'll try different things. One of my beliefs, and one of the things I learned from one of Mike's early churches, is if you think something needs doing, then go do it. Don't say, oh, somebody needs to do something about this. Go out and do it. One of the things that I would like to build into this community is if you think something needs to be happening, I don't remember the name, but somebody's saying, hey, we need a 12-step group. Okay, let's build a 12-step group. We need to do care for the elderly, let's do care for the elderly. If we need a vacation, whatever it is, school, then let's build that. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, okay. It's an experiment, but that's the scientific method, right? You try it, you make a hypothesis, you try it, and you learn from it. That's what we're trying to do here. When I look at my beliefs, my statement is on Sundays I'm an atheist, on Monday I'm an agnostic, on Tuesday I'm a theist, and every other Thursday I'm a Buddhist. I'm all over the map. I don't believe that any two people have the same faith. I mean, regardless of whether you go in church and profess a faith, profess a creed, or whatever, everybody's on a journey, and you're never in the same river twice. We're always moving along. So I wanted a place where people can come and know that wherever they are today, even if it's not the same as they were yesterday, they don't have to feel guilty about it. If you want to believe in God today, fine. If you want to not believe in God today, tomorrow, fine. If you want to go to some other church or to a church and partake in their rituals, fine. That's not our problem. We don't care. We don't care what your belief is. It's irrelevant to us. We're not anti-church. We're not pro-church. We're not church. It's not our business. It's your business. As long as you accept us and the people in this room for where they are, we'll accept you for where you are. And that's the point. I want a place where people can come together and be a community and not let faith get in the way. That was kind of my idea. And that's where, that's how we got here. And I looked at Mike and said, this is a man who can help teach us how to get there. He's been there, he knows that. He knows the faith community, he knows what's of value, and we can extract some of that stuff. Me, I'm an administrator. I mean, I'm not a philosopher, not a whatever. I'm a project manager in real life. So my job is organization, which is why I said, okay, I'll do the president thing, which doesn't actually require me to do anything. You'd be amazed at how much of leadership, especially if you get a group of people, is basically actually just delegating. So I strongly recommend that if you get pulled on one of these committees like babysitting or Bible school or whatever, take the leadership role, because it's really easy if you do it right. You just let everybody else do the work. You just organize it, make sure it happens. That being said, I want to highlight some of the statements on our website, because while they are not something that we need to hammer home, they're not a creed or anything, they are, I think, fairly critical to understand our mission and what we're trying to accomplish. The first bullet point is people are more important than beliefs. And I absolutely believe that. That whatever we do, however we do, whoever you are, whatever you believe, if your beliefs are getting in the way and hurting people, then your beliefs are wrong. Period. people should not be being hurt because of some abstract concept that you believe. Now, and that's just, from my point of view, basic ethics. The second is only humans can solve human problems. I don't mind somebody praying, saying they want to pray for me. I'm fine with that. But quite frankly, what that means to me is you're thinking about me. And if you're thinking about somebody, do something about it. If someone's hurting, do something. Maybe it's just a hug. Raise their oxytocin level for the day. Give them a hug. Give them a virtual hug on the internet. It doesn't matter, but do something. Don't just, that's one of the things I have disliked in some of the churches I've seen, is people will say, well, I'll pray for you, and it's like, okay, I've checked my box, I'm good. Do something, okay? This community is about doing, okay? That we plan on wanting it to be something where people can do, and as a vehicle and an opportunity for doing. As we grow, as we evolve, we'll see where we go with that, but I really think that if we don't do, if all we are is a group of people getting together and having coffee, then we might as well be a meetup. But I think we have an opportunity here. Okay. Next, reason is known through known through reason, not revelation. Now, individuals can have revelation. I think it was Thomas Paine. It says one person's revelation is another person's hearsay. I have no problem with revelation. I have no problem with the idea that the aha moment, I figured it out. Whether you believe that comes from beyond or inside your head or the psychology of it, whatever. I'm sure Mike will get into it at some point and explain it to us. But the point is that when you're talking with other people, you have to have reason. And so when we're discussing things, it isn't based on principles. It's based on reason. And I'm not interested in anybody's theology, whether it's capitalism, socialism, Christianity, Buddhism, or whatever. When we're talking about the problem, we use reason and we try and understand each other. Because in that communication and that understanding, we get to the things that are important to us. And that's how we're going to try and resolve things here. I want to make sure that we understand that. Meaning comes from making a difference. That's a big deal to me, too. If you're going to have meaning in your life, it isn't about, oh, have I done this thing or whatever. It means I've made a difference in somebody else's life. My brother, I have a sister who's very religious, and I have a brother who's very non-religious. But my brother point is that we're a wave. We go through the world, and we make waves in the world. And how we make differences with those waves determines the value and meaning of our life. 1,000 years from now, almost nobody, virtually nobody in this room will be remembered. That's just a fact of life. How many people who lived 1,000 years ago does anybody know the name of? 10, 100, 1,000 of the millions of people who live then? But their waves, their meaning still moves up through us. And our meaning moves forward through that. So if you want to give your life meaning, it isn't about an afterlife, it isn't about whatever, it's about making a difference today. It's about doing things. And again, this doing things in a group is much more powerful than doing things as an individual. This part of this group is to give you the ability and a place to have meaning, to make meaning in your life, without having to worry about metaphysical or somebody threatening you or whatever. It's your choice, whatever you do. There's no threats, no fear. It's about love and oxytocin. And everybody should be accepted wherever they are, as long as they accept us. And this is one of those things. The only thing that's intolerable is intolerance. I will not, as president of this organization, the only thing I will not tolerate is someone coming down on somebody for where they are. For somebody coming down on an atheist for not believing or on a Christian for believing. That isn't what we're about. It isn't about hurting people. It isn't about labels. It's about accepting everyone where they are and understanding that everyone is different. That no matter what you think your belief is, whether you think that you don't believe in God the same way somebody else doesn't believe in God, or whether you believe in God the same way somebody else believes in God, it's not a problem. It's about accepting that person as a unique, distinct, diverse, interesting individual. And everybody in this room is interesting, unique, and distinct, and worth caring about. And if I carry over one thing from the Christian stuff I learned in the 20 years I spent in the church, it's that people matter, and that everybody is worth caring about. So that's what I'm trying to do, is build a place where we can have that kind of thing without having to worry about whether we have to chase somebody off because they don't believe in the same things we believe in. As long as they're, you know, to use somebody's term, people can self-deport if they want. But I do not want to chase anybody off, not unless they're actively trying to hurt somebody else. So that's what we're about. That's, at least in my mind, that's where my thinking was, and why I think this came into being. Other people may disagree, and that's fine. I would expect there to be a lot of diversity of opinion on that. But I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you guys. I appreciate the opportunity to come here every Sunday and be with a group of people who have interesting things to say and interesting beliefs. I don't agree with necessarily everything everybody says when they come up with their community moment, but I appreciate it. I really do. I want people to be honest when they come up here, and I want to just have a good time, too. That's it. Thank you.